What's up, YouTube box communities? Boy, Mr. Universal Sports. I'm back. I'm about to cover. I know this is a late video, but I worked a graveyard shift and didn't get a chance to watch. And I watched the fight last night, but I watched my fights twice. About to cover that Brandon Rios versus Mike Alvarado fight, and I just gotta say that's like the early fight. Not early. It's late in the year. I gotta say that's the fight of the year candidate right there because. And plus, round of the year candidate. Did y'all see that fifth round? Woo-wee! They was just going back and forth, especially when Rios head snapped back like this like 15 times, but he still kept on pushing forward, kept on going. Wow, that was a good fight. That was good. Well, anyway, I noticed one thing that Mike Alvarado has that Brandon Rio doesn't. It's called a height advantage and a reach advantage. It isn't much, but the reach advantage is about an inch and a half. But if you got a reach advantage, use it. To break down this fight, here's what I liked about Mike Alvarado, who came up short and got stopped in the seventh round. Early in the fight, he used spacing in the jab, and I think that's the key to beat Brandon Rios. You gotta box him no matter what, because he's just gonna keep coming forward. He doesn't get tired. You cannot knock this guy out. And I noticed when Mike Alvarado was going off the spacing, he was landing combinations into space. You're like, so he has to when you fight Brandon Rios, you got to step back at least 2 feet, land your jab, and land combinations. Because Brandon Rios is going to keep coming like this with his earmuffs. And obviously, the best round he did was in the fifth round. One thing that cost Mike Alvarado this fight, in my opinion, he fought the wrong fight. I always use this analogy, and I think one of those basketball commentators used it about the old Phoenix Suns teams with Steve Nash, Joe Johnson, Barbosa, Amari Sotomayor, and so on, is that they make you play their style, which was the fast play style. And Brandon Rios took Mike Alvarado out of his fight. Mike Alvarado is a boxer puncher. Brandon Rios is a pure brawler. And here's what I liked about Brandon Rios. When he goes inside, I know it is. He comes in with the high guard, kind of like an old Mike Tyson style. He uses his head. He moves his head a little bit, and he keeps it tucked like this. He keeps his arms tucked like this, his elbows to his body, so that way you can't land body shots on him. And I noticed in a fight, he wears you down, just constantly coming. Those heavy shots, he just keeps coming. This guy just keeps coming. And I noticed that and later in fights he makes his comebacks. Like in the fifth round, I noticed, even though I think I had Mike Alvarado winning the fight, winning the rounds. I had him winning the fight by 2 rounds, 58 to 56. I had him winning the fifth round. Brandon Rios landed some hard shots that really hurt Mike Alvarado. That's why I think he turned the fight around to his favor, and ultimately he got the knockout. And he landed that big right hook in the sixth round that ultimately sealed his fate later in the fight. The only thing I don't like about Brandon Rios is obviously that since he's a brawler, he takes too many punches. But and like Andre Ward said, that takes a toll of your career. And if you had that brawling style, you can't fight that way forever. He's going to have to learn a little technicality eventually. But you can change yourself. You can't go from a brawler to a fighter. Bernard Hopkins went from a puncher to a more technically sound fighter. You can change your style as you get older, but if Brandon Rios is not going to last if he keeps on fighting this way. Now, what I like to see next, they're talking about Pacquiao versus Rios if Pacquiao gets past Marquez for the fourth or fifth time when they're fighting. I think fourth time, and I will be checking that one out. But I think I like to see him go against Bradley. I like to see him go against Brandon Rios, go against Juan Manuel Marquez. I think he blatantly ducked Robert Guerrero when they were both at 135. I like to see that fight one day. But a really good fight I really like to see is Adrian Broner when Broner comes up, and he's at 135. I'm cleaning out 135. Adrian Broner versus Brandon Rios. If Rios stays at 140, that would be a hell of a fight. But anyway, it's your boy Mr. Universal Sports, and I'm out. Peace.